welcome back to the channel, folks. Okay, Batman Caped Crusader. I've been looking forward to this one for quite a while now. When it got first announced by Warner Brothers, I thought, oh my god, this is really cool, because they basically said that this is going to be a spiritual successor to Batman the Animated Series. It was also going to involve Bruce Timm coming back, who had a big hand in Batman the Animated Series from the 90s. Ed Brubaker, who's an established comic book writer at this point, got a few famous stories, tackled the likes of Daredevil, Batman, Captain America. I think he was the mastermind behind The Winter Soldier, not the movie, the comic. We have J.J. Abrams on board with this one as executive producer. I think he signed a major deal with Warner Brothers a few years ago at this point, but I think that was when there was a different regime of higher ups. Not really sure what J.J. is doing over at Warner Brothers at the moment. When Matt Reeves was announced that he was also on board with this project, that really heightened my sort of expectations and my hype level surrounding this show. There's an air of me that I wonder if Matt Reeves had pitched a 1940s detective style Batman to Warner Brothers for his current Batman with Robert Pattinson, and it was Warner Brothers that didn't really like the idea, wanted maybe a more modern take on Batman, which is totally understandable, because it would have been a really big swing to set a live action Batman today in 1940s. We've got no Paul Dini on this project, which I do find a little bit strange, because he was such an influential part of Batman the Animated Series in the 90s. Not only did he have a big part on some of the best stories in that series, he was also the creator of Harley Quinn. Not many people know this, but Harley Quinn actually originated in the animated series and not the comics, and it's just a testament to how good that character is that she's lasted right up until now. And I would say Harley Quinn is in like top 5 DC characters that the just general audiences first think of when they think of DC. Set in 1940s Gotham, this is a noir style Batman tale, which is absolutely cool with me, because I think the noir setting definitely suits Batman in my opinion. We're in the early days of Batman in this show. He's just started forming a relationship with Gotham PD. I wouldn't necessarily say he's figuring things out still at the moment, but early days yet for Batman. For me, Batman and Superman have always suited the style of Art Deco. In that original show from the 90s, Gotham was very much depicted in this style, and later on down the line as well with Superman, that Bruce Timm also had a hand in, that was very much Art Deco as well. This one, with it being cemented in the 1940s, they can go full on with the Art Deco style, and I'm absolutely here all day for it. So let's run down some characters here. We've got Penguin, who is now female. Don't let it break your brain. It's actually a really good take on this character. Penguin, you've only really seen him in sort of one depiction. To be fair, I would say Batman Returns does actually do something pretty gnarly with the Penguin. Makes him totally gross. That was a big downside for Batman Returns. We'll get to that one day. But I actually think this first episode is a really good opener to the show, and it does sort of call back to that OG animated series whilst telling you we're bringing something a little bit fresh to the table here as well. Really enjoyed it. Clayface, right. This is another one that I think may be a little bit of a test run for Matt Reeves. Now, we don't know who's going to be the villain in the Batman 2, but in this show, Clayface is depicted in that sort of early iteration of Clayface back in the comics. We aren't going for the animated series where he's like a big giant monster. I won't spoil who Clayface is, or if you don't know, because that is part of the mystery of the episode in finding out who Clayface is. If you know the comics, you'll know who it is. But Episode 2, really enjoyed this episode. Clayface is an underutilized villain for me in Batman lore, and I think he should come up the ranks a little bit. If you'd ever watched the Batman from 2004, it introduced a lot of good takes on the villains, and one of the best villains in that show was Clayface. They had a really good arc with Clayface. Highly recommend that show if you haven't watched it. Episode 3 with Catwoman, voiced by Christina Ricci, Miss Wednesday Addams herself. Yes, this was a phenomenal episode. Bit cheesy, bit goofy. I was digging it, man. The other thing that I want to highlight in this particular episode, none of the rest, this particular episode had an amazing score to it. It was evoking similar emotions to the quieter moments in Batman and Robin with Elliot Goldenfall's score. And we've also got a little hint here and there of like that Batman Returns score a little bit, the quieter, slower moments. Apart from that, the music's a little bit of a dud, guys. It doesn't compare whatsoever to Danny Elfman's score in the 90s show, and most of what Shirley Walker did in that whole time period as well. She was a big part of the music for that animated show, and she put some absolute bangers out. The Harley Quinn episode was really, really solid. I like this version of Harley Quinn, definitely, and it's something that I would probably like to see in live action down the road. Won't get into the episode totally, try and keep it a little bit spoiler free. You do see a little bit of humanity when it comes to Harley Quinn. I think in recent years, she's been more accepted as sort of an anti-hero, not full-on villain like she was for many, many years. That aspect is still sort of in here a little bit, and I really did appreciate that. As you'll have seen, Harvey Dent is in this show. His last 2 episodes. He's in the show throughout, but the main sort of transformation into Two-Face comes in the last 2 episodes. This is a really, really solid depiction of Harvey Dent and his sort of origin. I think out of all 10 episodes, the last 2 are really where it's at when you're dealing with Harvey Dent. Like that whole relationship that he has with Bruce Wayne in this, it's developed throughout the show, so it doesn't just slap you in the face out of nowhere in the last 2 episodes. That is another positive. They carry on from each other. There's sort of an overarching story a little bit. Each episode is its own thing, but there is sort of a through line with the characters. Diedrich Bader plays Harvey Dent. This guy's actually voiced Batman before as well previously, but he does an exceptional job here with Harvey Dent. Definitely brings humanity when it's needed. But in them last 2 episodes, when the psychological sort of trauma of what's happened to Dent comes in, handles that superb. Before we leave, let's talk about Batman himself here. So he's voiced by Hamish Linklater. Now guys, if you have not seen Midnight Mass, I highly recommend that show. He plays a priest in that show. Would never ever put him down as a Bruce Wayne, but he absolutely nails it. If you're taking this bigger swings with some of the characters, especially the villains, why not do something a little bit different with Batman himself? They've kept Batman very much on the straight and narrow. They haven't really done anything different with him. Now, the first episode was a little bit jarring because I thought Hamish was basically just doing a Connery impression. I'm glad to say, after the first episode, I quickly got out of that. He's got a good Batman voice, man. Really good. I don't like the way he talks to Alfred, though, when he's got the cowl off. He should be nicer. Apart from that, Hamish puts in a good performance here. Especially, I like some of the scenes when he has in episode 5, I think it is, with Harley Quinn. Obviously, Dr. Quinzel, she's a therapist. Bruce has to get some therapy in this episode. And some of the one-liners that Bruce is flinging out, I really enjoyed. I was laughing quite a bit in that episode, actually. It's only really my negative that Batman Bruce Wayne is just a bit straight for me, as in, like, we've definitely seen this version depicted on screen before. I like the Batsuit in this one. It's like got that 40s vibe, like original comics vibe, but mixed in with, I think it was like the second iteration of Batman the Animated Series where he lost the yellow and he just went with the black logo. It was giving me similar sort of vibes to that. I think if you're a Batman fan, there's no reason you shouldn't watch this show. If you're a 90s animated Batman fan, you definitely should watch this show. 100%. It's worth your time. Series 2, I'd love to know where they're going to go with that, because the thing is, there's an awful lot of characters that aren't introduced in this first series. So we've still got Joker to see. We've still got an iteration of Robin in this universe. I'm looking forward to it. I'll definitely be watching series 2. But guys, thanks for watching. This has been my review of Batman Caped Crusader. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. What did you think of the character iterations in this one? They were a bit wacky. They were a bit wild. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.